Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most difficult trading card games to get into. Oh, hey Tally.
Revz, what are you doing?
Just doing the intro, telling everyone about how we're doing 100 duels with my deck.
Ah, sounds good, my man. Take it away.
Hey yo guys, Revz and Tally here, bringing you 100 duels from scratch. Getting off to a good start, playing through 2 board wipes and still managing to get in the OTK. Well, they scooped before it, but we still would have OTK'd, so we're going to count that.
Well, in game 2, as I said in the last 100 duels, when you buster lock Shaddoll, game 3 was kinda like what the ancient warriors call ping pong. I served and they returned by breaking my board, then I recovered and broke their board, then they have nothing but an ash blossom to protect them, so I hit them with some sort of really hard ping pong move. I kinda lost the metaphor somewhere in there. Game 4 was largely uneventful. My blue-eyed opponent scooped after one hand trap didn't stop me. Game 5 we're up against Dra, and thankfully my opponent didn't have the best hand, and Rafflesia is the best plant girl, making their Gamma useless, and since they didn't draw very well, they scooped. Now in Game 6 I would say that I lost to Ra, but I actually lost to Numeron. I didn't see a single Ra card that entire game. Also, this is where I start the Galaxy Serpent counter, because I've seen this card more often than I had any right to. Game 7 we're up against the rare 60 card Magical Musket player, and while I don't necessarily agree with their deck size, I do agree with their choice to scoop, while I only have 3 interruptions on board. And in Game 8 they didn't really like my extra deck, Scythe, Super Poly, and even more than that, they didn't like my extenders, and when I got them out, they just decided to quit. Game 9, I don't really know what went wrong. I feel like Edo Pro glitched, and I'm definitely sure they drew more than once off of Bigfoot being summoned, but I'm not very smart, so I might just not be paying attention. Anyway, they cleared my board, and before the Orcus stuff can start, I said let's hit the side deck. And in Game 10, it's my turn to break the board and win. I gotta say, I'm inconsistent with this deck, but this was one of the good ones. I will get better though. And for Game 11 in the tiebreaker, I'm just gonna bring in Revz.
After a spicy Lancia mic drop, our orchestrated opponent has nothing, and we managed to combo into the full OTK without Savage and without Sword. There's just a little bit of extra beauty in the fact that we finished them off with Pisty.
I've got a bit of a sweet tooth in Game 12, so I went and set up the board, sniped it evenly like a goddamn champ. My opponent summons a couple times, but they know this isn't gonna go well, so they just decide to hit the bakery. God, that was awful. Nothing really special in Game 13, I set up the board, my opponent scoops, everyone's shocked. Game 14, my opponent goes first, they drop the D barrier calling Synchro, then they realise that my deck is also known as Dragon Link. First of all, in Game 15 I want you to look at my opponent's hand and tell me what they're playing, because I sure as hell don't know. And then second of all, a combo for a little while, and they just scoop. Game 16, I'm up against Aliens and they try and play through what I've got, but after a few seconds they realise that resistance is futile. That's a sci-fi joke, isn't it? I hope it is, otherwise that's not funny. Game 17, this game of Aliens was actually directed by James Cameron. It wasn't as scary as the first, some people say it's better than the first, some people disagree. All I know is, I summoned a Link monster and they scooped. Game 18, I'm up against Red Eyes, and in typical Red Eyes fashion, they've got a lot of potential to do something, but then they end up doing nothing. So with no pushback, I easily win this one. Hey, here's a zinger for Game 19. Red Eyes Black Dragon, more like Red Eyes Bad Dragon. In Game 20 we were up against Prank Kids, and I negated their little pranky bro, but then they hit the Verte, and I'm gonna be real, I had a small heart attack but it ended up being nothing to worry about, and then they yeeted the scoop button.
So they squeeze out a Mystic Mine, but it just explodes since they got nothing, and from there it's just time to combo off, and they summon the big dude, but it's like, here, hold my turtle, and he start calling Tally a douche for playing combo, but Tally's just like, chill bro, it's just a prick, and after setting up the Buster Lock, they scoop.
Game 22, I can't pronounce this deck, and I don't know quite what they do, so I negated the first blue card that I seen, and it happened to work. Game 23, I dropped Imperm on their normal summon, and I just so happened to win. Game 24, I'm up against Sky Strikers, and for the love of God, they just had all of the hand traps, and I just could not play, so I lost. Game 25, my Dino-brained opponent, have I used that one before? I have, I'm doing it again, opened up Dark Ruler, Baby, and Misk. Have you read Misk, by the way? Hashtag ban Misk. Ha! How does it feel to end on nothing, dinosaurs? Bet it doesn't feel great. I am the meteor that killed the dinosaurs. I am the unbridled rage of God. Yeah, nah, take it back. They opened really well in game 27, and I got flattened, both figuratively and literally. Bad Misk. Day 849 of waiting for good volcanic support. That way, they can stop playing floodgates. Is this what you do, Pain? Is this what you do to people? In game 30, and jokes aside by the way, this deck really struggles against floodgates, and like, it's getting kinda worrying. I'm sure we can come out on top most of the time, but goddamn if floodgates aren't a heavy inconvenience for this deck. In game 30, I lost to Lair of Darkness. This losing streak isn't funny anymore, I'm getting a wee bit stressed out, they just totally blasted me, this isn't happening again, okay?
Don't worry Tally, you take a wee break there, and I'll tell the folks back home about how after ending on a singular metaverse going into the Mystic Mine, we ruin his day with a Cosmic Cyclone, and just combo off like no one's business and smash him dead.
Game 32 starts off with some big brain action. Since I know they can't OTK me, I try to pop off, but that doesn't go well, leave me with just a bounce for their turn, but they end on just a Pancratops. I get some searches to play the next turn, then a combo, and they scoop. A classic tale. Game 33, we're up against Cyber Dragon, and I'm sorry Zane, but that hand isn't particularly amazing, so while I start to pop off, you can pop the surrender button and move to game 2. Okay, that hand looks way better in game 34, and I probably could have played through the Infinity plus Dragoon, but that judgment just hurt. Sometimes you just need your normal summon, you know? See, game 35 is proof that I can play around one Dragoon, just with a large turtle. Anyway, this is nothing but gas straight into the OTK. So for game 36 I was browsing Twitch and I found these two cool girls, so I dropped a fat prime on them and then they banned me for talking about dragons too much. Speaking of dragons, for game 37 my opponent's playing Blue Eyes, they end on a Priestess with no interruptions, of course I won. In game 38 they go a long way purely for what is literally just a twin twister, and honestly I respect that determination. They made some okay plays but Bouncy Boy goes brrr, and after that they're left with nothing and we beat them up. In game 39 my opponent just decides to wait out the timer, which is fine because you know how I feel about free wins, but I set my game timer for 3 minutes apiece, so I had to wait a little while, so I just went and watched some Yu-Gi-Oh from scratch. Game 40 we're up against Lightsworn and they just dump a load of stuff into the graveyard, end on the nice Minerva lady, and as soon as I drew for turn they left. It's okay, my hand was weird, full combo, but weird.
Yo, was that Galaxy Serpent? Oh man, I hope he hasn't drawn it too much. But Thomas the Tank Engine here is going to set to and pass with plenty of chances for a huge combo straight into the OTK. You'll love to see it.
Game number 42 had me thinking about that classic saying, trains are always late when you need them, and they let you combo off for 8 minutes and don't scoop so that you can waste precious minutes of your futile existence, but when you're running late, they're always on time. Yeah, something like that, I'm sure. In game 43 I drop Gamma on the only monster that they've got, and then I do what I do and I OTK. Game 44 I turned on the TV and found my favourite anime, Life of a Combo Player, but then the TV cut off. Is the TV joke working here? I hope so, because I'm about to do it again. Game 45 I tried watching a couple more tunes and then the TV just absolutely broke. No tunes for me today. Game 46 I'm up against the most god-awful burn deck ever. Not a fan. Still won, free win, but I'm not a fan. Game 47 was very much the same, very thankful that it's over. I'm not a fan of stolly decks or burn decks or Mystic Mine or Volcanics. But anyway, a nice free win. Game 48 I'm up against Madulce and I'm gonna be real, played them a lot, still don't really know what the hell they do. I don't know if my opponent could have extended more, but they chose not to, and I took advantage of that and went into a huge combo. Game 49, I'm up against Sacred Beast and I've got a question here. Could I have played this one better to get Savage on the field? Yes. Did it matter? No. Broke their board, and even though they had 18,000 life points, that's not really hard to deal with, and I won. Game number 50, my opponent did not know that Gamma isn't once per turn, and that let me get one over on them. They ended on nothing and scooped to save me 5 minutes. Thank you, friend.
Look at that hand. Would have been a bit of an insta-kill if they went first, but they didn't, and after setting up the usual from the usual, they lose to 1 negate, and they decide to go crying to Professor X.
Game 52, we're up against Phantom Knights. By the way, if you want to see some Phantom Knight action, it's on screen now. This one sucked. They got the Red Eyes fusion off, and I just didn't have enough to play it out. It's alright though, this stuff happens. Game 53 made me learn that I can't play through 3 negates when you play as badly as I do, but it's alright. I love Phantom Knights, they're good boys. Dead boys, but good boys. Anyway, moving on. Game 54, I'm up against Charmers. I started to play, they scooped, said no, that's not happening. That wasn't very charming at all. I don't even know what happened in Game 55, okay? Game 56 was pretty quick too. Game 57's against Sky Strikers, and unlike last time, they didn't draw particularly well. I drew very well. I drew everything, even up to and including Galaxy Serpent. Game 58, we're up against Trickstar. Their hand was unfortunate, mine's wasn't. And Game 59's up against Galaxy Eyes. I think Galaxy Eyes is a cool deck. They've got a lot of cool cards, and even though they managed to break my board, they're cool enough to let it slide. 100 deals of Galaxy Eyes one day? Let me know in the comments below. Game 60, I've got a really good hand, even better top deck, and that just spelled absolute domination, and that's exactly what I did. Not super efficiently, but I won all the same.
Back again for another tiebreaker. Busterlock did some real damage, and their deck just being full of level 8 beaters really doesn't help them either, so they just pass, and well, Borrow Sword seals the deal. Get it? Sealed only. Ha!
Game 62, I'm up against what I call Throwback Thursday. No idea what their game plan is, kinda like a weird old goat deck, but ultimately I won since they handed me some huge beaters. And in Game 63, they have Granmo. That just awards them the moral victory. Now I took the real victory, but they've got the moral victory. Game 64, I'm up against Constellars, and my opponent just wants to run the clock out and wait for me to scoop. Joke's on them, I'm catching up on Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch too. Game 65, I'm up against Virtual World and Busterlock, baby. What a good little boy. He's gonna get banned, but he's a good little boy. Speaking of cards that are going to get banned, in game 66 I open up no hand traps, my opponent drops a big fat VFD on me, and if you don't know what VFD is, it's disgusting. So right, game 67 we go back to hitting them with the unfair cards, and they've got nothing to stop me. God, this game's fair and balanced and fun. Game 68, I'm up against Dark Magician, and I could never lose to Dark Magician. Never lose to Dark Magician. Never ever lose to Dark Magician. Well, I suppose it's only really fitting that in game 69 I lost to Dark Magician. Not very happy about this. Never gonna happen again. If any of you ever mention it, I will ban you. Game 70, the universe is back in balance. I won, I beat them. And again, if any of you specifically go to the comments and comment Tally lost to Dark Magician, well, I'll just be a little bit miffed if I'm honest.
This one was really just strange. No combo, tribute summon Golden Boy, just lots of strangeness going on. Thank God for Levianeer being a total boss and popping the zombie world though. God, I hate that card.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I biffed game 72 entirely. Very easily could have avoided the Super Poly, but am I an asshole? Yes. Yes, I am. Game 73, I'm up against Utopia, and the truth is, if they aren't dropping S0, then they aren't winning. And they didn't drop S0. Game 74 was very much the same. I just went and steamrolled them because they didn't drop Zexal on me. Come on, it's literally like the Zexal deck. Game 75, I'm up against Gravekeepers, and despite their Super Poly, I did a huge combo as this deck is known to do, and I managed to establish dominance and scare them into scooping. I mean, I was going to OTK, so they did save me like 20 seconds of time. In game 76, I'm up against Mech Lords. I tried to read their card, and they immediately scooped. Still never finished reading that card if I'm honest. Game 77, I'm up against my arch nemesis ScotRail train service, so I set my adorable dragon on them, and as usual they weren't working properly. God damn it, ScotRail, stop making me late for work. Game 78, I started to get into a bit of a groove on my 719 train to Glasgow, and then it broke down. I'm gonna have to call my boss, tell her I'm gonna be late again. Game 79, I'm up against Oja Melfi, and unlike Pokemon, these cute little critters ain't got nothing on my huge dragons. Game 8, I'm up against Prank Kids. I played it okay, they didn't have much, passed and I OTK'd them.
What in God's name is that card? Tyrant's Tirade, that's a card I guess.
And in game 82 I ended on nothing. I was pretty certain that they were going to end me, so I just decided to save them 5 minutes and committed scoop phase. Game 83, I'm up against more Prank Kids, but it turns out this guy, member of Team Tally, so they were quite fun to play against. We chilled, we chatted, we had a good game. Thank you, and if you're watching, comment below and let me know how you're doing. Game 84, I'm like legitimately proud of how I managed to play through 2 full board wipes and still managed to take control of the game. Yes, it did use Buster Whelp, but that card's legal, so I'm going to make use of it. Anyway, I love playing against members of Team Tally. I had a lot of fun. Let me know how you're doing, pal. Game 85, I'm up against Gren Maju, and they had an admirable effort, I won't lie, but I made more of an effort, and when Levianeer hit the field with a few pops, they popped that scoop button. Game 86 didn't go quite so well though. They dropped a D-shifter, which I can play through sometimes, but not all the time, and this was one of those not all the times. I went for Saryuja, hoping I could draw into extenders and possibly play through and set at least something up. Turns out I didn't though, so yeah. And in game 87 my opponent held Super Poly for way too long. I'd have dropped it much sooner, but they didn't, and then they quit. To be honest, Mud Dragon couldn't save them, so we're all good. And in game 88 I'm up against Salamangreat. Gonna be real, Buster Lock makes this deck so free, unless they happen to draw both the traps, but they didn't. So as I was saying, this deck's so free. And in game 89, for the love of God, even Salamangreat are playing Dragoon. I'll be honest, I really liked how I won this. I summoned Borrow Sword, then went into Savage but no equip, because I would have got negated, so I essentially summoned a way cooler Blue Eyes. Sword's Battle Protection came in mega handy, and I took a well deserved win. This was going to go so well until I realised that I used Buster Baby as part of the combo, couldn't equip it and couldn't Buster Lock. Am I mad that I lost? No. Am I mad that I drew a Garnet in a 50 card deck? A teeny bit. I definitely did try and play, but like, just still a teeny bit mad.
So this one's definitely going to end poorly, let's just make it quick and scoop him up, Tally. Yeah, good lad.
Game 93 I'm off to the zoo. I set up the standard board and they can't do anything without Borbo these days, so once that was gone I was chilling. Then Rafflesia came in clutch with the Grave Digger's Trap Hole to secure the win. Beautiful. Game 93 I'm going second and I managed to play through both a Dryden and a Strike. I did okay indeed, and after aggressively comboing for a while they got mad and quit. I love that my win condition is just aimlessly combo, and 9 times out of 10 it will make someone scoop. Game 94 I was in desperate need of an extender, and what did I have? World Legacy Guard Dragon. Did I have any dragons engraved? No, but I did have the Buster Whelp, so I sent that with the link to Buster Little Dude, you know the guy, summoned it back with World Legacy Guard Dragon, full combo baby. Game 95 I got a sweet victory against what seems to be my arch nemesis this episode. I love drawing into lucky extenders as well. Galaxy Serpent, you have redeemed yourself, little buddy. Game 96 I lost because I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and it's a well-known fact Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read. The chain links were on screen, I didn't pay attention, tried to drop a Gamma on Crocosaur, negated the wrong thing, got VFD'd. And in Game 97, I now understand why Revz hates Grave Digger's Trap Hole so much. Why couldn't you just be a better card? Come on! Game 98, I'm up against Chaos Light Sworn Thunder Dragon, and yes boy, I have everything, they have nothing. This is amazing. However, in Game 99, no, I have nothing, they have everything. This is not amazing.
And here we are, duel numero hundo. What a ride it's been to see the past 99 duels, and we're going to end this one off with the fattest of Lancias, ending our opponent's turn and keeping our Psyframes on board for easy combo next turn. That interaction is just so dumb, dude. After banging out our combo, we round it off with a Savage, a Sword, and a Scoop. So for the 100th time today, GG, now let's wrap this up.
Overall, I'm actually really impressed at how this deck went. This is a sealed only deck, made only of sealed product. Now I did make 2 small changes to the list that Revz actually provided me. I added Seifert for cool extenders, and I added the Baby Buster link too, but I wanted to make sure that it was cards that I knew that Revz pulled. I think the thing that made this deck really unique compared to when I played Dragon Link, because they're so similar, was the non-linearity of the deck. Yeah, there is combos, but oftentimes you're playing the hand out the best you can as opposed to going into the same combo every time. Overall, I can't really, overstate how impressed I am. This is a sealed only deck, alright? Revz did a lot of cool stuff with this deck, and I think it's really cool to add 100 duels to that. And I do say this every time, and I do mean it every time, but this was definitely one of my most favourites to record. Well guys, that is the video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much Revz for being part of this. This was an amazing project, and I do hope that we can do more of this in future, maybe with the challenge mode deck. Anyway, if you liked it, give it a like. If you love it, give it a share and tell everyone you know about Team Tally today. As always, if you want to join Team Tally, smack that subscribe button down below. And of course, you have been amazing. I have been Tally. I will catch you all later. Bye.